Hello, and we're back for our farm school conference, the second session of our third day. We're going to be covering success stories from around the state today. We just launched a poll for you all to go ahead and answer. That is, are you currently gardening with kids? And have you ever attended a garden training? A reminder that you can find all of the resources that you need in your conference program, which you can find a link for in the chat. And we'll go ahead and send that again just to make sure that everybody has access to it. You can find the emails for all of the attendees and all of the resources that they are talking about there. Any other things that we want to tell them before we get started? I think that's, remember that you can ask questions in the Q&A. There's a Q&A function here along with the chat. Go ahead and put whatever questions you want there or raise your hand, whatever you'd like, and we'll be able to answer our Q&A at the end of the session. But with that, we'll go ahead and get started. That was only a 1-minute intro.
Do you want me to end polling?
Let's leave the polling up.
Of the people in there? Okay, we'll leave it up.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and leave the polling up during the session. If you already answered, you can close out of it. We'll have your answer recorded and we'll show the results at the end there. But thank you all for joining us again or staying during the break or tuning in now. We will go ahead and share our success stories from around the state.
Hi, this is Betsy Johnson. I'm a teacher at St. Mary's Assumption School in Cottonport, Louisiana, and I'm also co-owner of a market garden called Sycamore Acres in my hometown of Cottonport. See behind me is the market garden that we grow year-round, my husband and I. He is the grower of the garden, and some of the plants that we do have here right now are broccoli. We have cauliflower, carrots, beets, various types of lettuces for our salad mix, and we'll be planting pretty soon some other fall varieties. But today I'd really like to talk about sweet potatoes. So what we have lined up at our school this week is a taste test with students from grades pre-K all the way to 8th grade, and they will be tasting our sweet potatoes. For this taste test, we had a range of ages from pre-K all the way to 8th grade. So in the planning stages of this taste test, I made a seating arrangement and grouped them by ages, and I used 4 different tables. Okay. All right, Jen. What are we doing in the computer lab today? So we are tasting sweet potatoes. How many of you know how sweet potatoes are grown? Charlie. Okay, that's pretty good. You're so close. Are they grown above the ground or below the ground? Yeah.
Above the ground.
Okay, they're actually grown below the ground.
I knew it.
And what is the word for a sweet potato in the ground? Anybody know? It starts with a T.
I know.
It starts with a T.
T starts with my name.
A tuber. A potato like this is a vegetable that's grown in the ground, underground, under the top of the soil as a tuber. Isn't that cool? Okay, so when we plant sweet potatoes, do you see these little growths? You see these little shoots coming off this potato? So this is an older potato. We're not going to eat this one. It's growing these little shoots off of them. What we could actually do is cut these off and plant them in the ground, and they will produce sweet potatoes. Okay? So let's talk about the nutrition around sweet potatoes. So sweet potatoes have some really good vitamins. Okay? One of them is vitamin A. What is vitamin A good for in our bodies? Raise your hand if you know. Vitamin A. Nolan. Before each taste test, I provide some instruction about the vegetable the students will be tasting. I think it's important for them to learn about nutritional facts, growing methods, food preparation, and growing locations. Children need to have an understanding of where their food comes from and all of the health benefits that come with locally grown food. Everything I need to prepare for a taste test is included within the Louisiana Harvest of the Month compendium of activities and lessons on Louisiana food products. Included in the compendium are resources that are organized by grade level. Each section contains hyperlinks for literacy materials, printable worksheets and documents, and nutritional and growing facts about each fruit and vegetable recognized as a Harvest of the Month item. Try that one. Vitamin C. We also get it from orange juice. When you're sick, yes, so it helps to fight infection. Very good. Okay, let's go ahead and taste some sweet potatoes. Okay? So at this point during the taste test, the kids were ready to dive in and taste the sweet potatoes. For this particular lesson, the sweet potatoes were baked, and we put a little bit of butter and cinnamon on them. Also, it's very important to note that for the taste test, I do get permission from the students' parents to be able to let them participate and be involved. As you notice from the pictures, the kids' faces are just priceless. Some of them love the sweet potatoes, some of them not so much. I think that whether they like them or not, the main goal of the activity is to get them to taste the sweet potatoes. So that way when they go home, they can tell their parents that they tried something new, and that's what's most important, to try to get them to like new foods and new vegetables, new fruits. That's what we're trying to accomplish here with the taste test. So this is a pre-K student who's not too thrilled about tasting the sweet potatoes, but he did. He tried it. I also try to teach the kids that whenever they're tasting their vegetable, try not to make a big deal out of it if they don't like it. We don't want that to rub off on somebody else. We want them to form their own opinion about the vegetable. Taste it, and then we're going to vote on if you liked it or if you didn't care for it too much. But listen, what we don't want to do is say, we don't want to do that. We just want to taste it and be positive about it, okay? If you don't like it, that's okay. I really just want you to taste it and try it, all right? So the younger students, you guys are gonna vote by circling your choice on this little slip of paper, okay? So what you would do is circle it. If you tried it, you put the check. If you liked it, you circle the smiley face, and if you loved it, you circle the heart. Okay, and we'll go over that again. Now, the older students in middle school, you have a digital ballot. So you have a Google form I emailed to you. You can log in, pull up your ballot, your Google form. I don't know if I can get to it. It's going to look like this. Miss Mackenzie, can you take that form up there, please? And it's going to look like that, so you can vote digitally, okay? We're going to about what you thought, okay? So we can also look at the results from the middle school too. So how can we do that? Here we go. Okay. Oh, we had a loved it. Good. Great. Okay. Kindergarten. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Good. Give me a thumbs up if you tried it. Give me a thumbs up if you loved it. Good. Okay. Where's pre-K? Or let's go with this table. Give me a thumbs up. Having a little post-activity discussion about the taste test helps to wrap up the activity and let the kids discuss what they thought about the taste test. Leave the activity with knowledge of a vegetable that they may have tried for the first time that day, and they also get to take home a worksheet with informational facts about that vegetable and bring it home to share with their family. Inspiration for the taste test really comes from the school garden at St. Mary's. My husband and I teach the kids how to prep the garden, plant and maintain it, and then they get to taste the vegetables that they grow. At our own farmers markets for Sycamore Acres, it's such a joy to see some of the students and their parents come to look at the vegetables and see everything that we've grown, and then the students can identify some of those same vegetables that they see in the school garden. It's great to have full support from my principal, Mr. Nathan Laborde, also the teachers and the parents, and also the community as well. As the 4-H sponsor for St. Mary's, it's great to use the school garden as a means of service. Sometimes we're able to harvest the vegetables and give to some community members who are not able to come to farmers markets. We also set up student-led farmers markets for teachers, and then through Sycamore Acres, my husband and I will harvest vegetables, bag them up, and bring them to the teachers' lounge and let the teachers pick and choose what they need for the week, and that way it gets the vegetables directly to the teachers as well. Thank you for your time today. I'm hoping I was able to give you some ideas for success with your school garden and also taste tests at your school. And remember, LSU provides so many resources for gardening activities and lessons in the classroom.
Hi everyone, my name is Kiki Fontenot. I work at the LSU Ag Center, and I'm pre-recording this video for you guys today to learn more about our school garden teacher leadership workshops. This is a joint effort between myself and Drs. Pam Blanchard, Ed Bush, and Carl Motzenbacher. And we were fortunate to get funding from the Department of Education and the Louisiana Farm to School program to host this workshop for 3 summers in a row. And it's really geared towards school teachers. Doesn't matter if you're science, math, history, art, librarian, whatever. Any of you guys who work with kids in schools and you're very interested in also growing a garden with students. So let's tell you a little bit about the workshop and a little bit about why we think gardening is important. And I feel with this first slide, I'm kind of speaking to the choir here, because if you're listening on this and you're in this farm to school conference, you already think gardening is valuable with students. And we know that when students do interact in the soil with gardens, right, they have extra knowledge retention, their science literacy, math scores increase in classrooms. We've seen studies and conducted studies ourselves where we've seen their environmental awareness increases, so they're more likely to recycle, to shut off water while brushing teeth, pick up trash, things of that nature. And we've also seen that students who participate in gardens are more likely to eat a wide variety of fruits and vegetables than those who do not participate in gardens. So this is all interesting, wonderful, great things that we want our students to be doing, right? One of the major setbacks in school gardens is having a dedicated teacher. And a lot of times there are dedicated teachers. We've been working with school gardens now, or at least I have, for 11 plus years, okay? And what we're looking at is having a teacher who can be there year after year after year, really engaging with these students in the garden. Sometimes teachers just get pulled from their classrooms and go from being 3rd grade teacher to 9th grade teacher, right? Because of needs of the school, or go from being the librarian to now being the math and social studies teacher. And we can't really always, we have a hard time maybe knowing when those things are going to happen. But if you feel comfortable in the garden, then it's easier to continue gardening with students even when your job details change, right? So with this lesson, or not this lesson, but this series of workshops is really try to engage the teachers in the school garden, make y'all feel more comfortable teaching this material to students, and help you guys see how it can be integrated into more than just one type of curriculum. Because we know that happy teachers make for happy students. When you feel comfortable and when you feel good doing something, your students will feel comfortable and good doing it as well. So what is this workshop? What is it all about? We take 5 consecutive days in the summertime, and we cover 5 horticulture topics in the morning and 5 education topics or curriculum topics in the afternoon. We're tying those horticulture concepts to all the different types of curriculum in the afternoons. When you attend our workshops, you get 3 CEU credits for every section that you attend. So if you attend a morning session, that's 3. If you attend morning and afternoon on the Monday, that's 6. So if you attend both morning and afternoon sessions for all 5 days, that's a total of 30 continuing education credits you can earn. We've already conducted this workshop for 2 summers, and our next and final round, so you guys really want to get in on this, is going to be held May 31st through June 4th, a Monday through Friday in 2020. Okay, and it's going to be held on LSU's campus at the Hill Farm Teaching Facility, which is right next to the Lod Cook Alumni Hotel and the LSU Recreational Center. And we have a really great time, and we're going to tell you more about it. So the morning sessions are always the horticulture sessions. We try to do those outside. In case it's kind of hot, we can do the curriculum parts indoors afterwards. We talk about different means of building raised beds, irrigation techniques, how to install irrigation, and what kind of irrigation is going to be best for your school garden. We look at insect, weed, and disease management, remembering that it's not necessarily just organic management, but no spray management that we're very interested in school gardens, because kids can't always read. We can't just go spraying things, whether they're organic or synthetic. We look at growing vegetables, herbs, fruits, native plants, pollinator plants, flowers in the garden. We really mix it up in this course. We look at a lot of composting and fertility management. So how to fertilize, when to fertilize, what do you fertilize with, how do you compost, and even creating your own vermiculture bin for your own classroom so you can get the worms to help you out. And we love pollinators, pollinator gardens, and native plants. So we go into a lot of details about that as well. So here's just a few pictures from some of our more recent workshops that you can see actual teachers participating with us in the garden. We want you, when you attend this series of workshops with us, to wear comfortable clothes, tennis shoes. Do not worry about makeup or no makeup or how you look. It's all about getting dirty with us. So you can see we go out to the garden. We look at different crops. How and when do you harvest those crops? Where are the insects hiding on these crops? Are these insects good or bad? We plant seeds. We build raised beds. We get really dirty. We don't just build wooden raised beds like most people have, but we build pallet gardens and metal raised beds, and we look at hay bale gardening and all kinds of different things. And y'all, a benefit or a bonus of attending this workshop is that lots of these supplies end up in the trunk of your car and going home with you. So not only are you getting the knowledge, but you're taking a lot of tools home with you as well. We love to propagate in this workshop. So lots of seed propagation, of course, and that's easy to do with students. But we also want you to share with students that you can take and replicate plants from leaves, from roots, and from stems. So we look at just using certain parts of the plant to multiply that plant out into 100, 500 different types or different plants from just one. So we do a lot of propagation in here. Not only do we propagate, we show you guys how to graft. So we look at that vegetable grafting and why it's important. And we graft tomatoes onto peppers, tomatoes onto eggplant, peppers onto eggplant, eggplant onto eggplant, tomatoes onto tomatoes. You get the picture, right? So we show you how to splice together plants, wrap them back up, bandage them, and you get one more superior plant. So we really want you guys to attend this with us. We really like talking about insects, the good and the bad. If you look over on the left-hand side of your screen, you're going to see some gentlemen playing with Play-Doh and building the ladybug or the lady beetle life cycle. So we talk about metamorphosis. We talk about insect parts and how that helps them become better pollinators. And we look at capturing insects in our school gardens and means that maybe reduce that insect population, but also allows us to study what's out there with our students. So you can see in the top right-hand corner, you've got Ed Bush holding a leaf blower and one of our teacher participants holding a large yellow poster board. And you can see down below, we took those poster boards and we smeared them with Vaseline all the way across. And we walked through various gardens at the Hill Farm and blew the air across the plants and saw what insects got stuck to our sticky traps. And we looked at those using microscopes and scopes on the rope. So it's really cool for your students to kind of engage in some of these neat activities that we can show you how to do. Beneficials are a huge deal for us. Not all insects are bad. So while we do talk about controlling bad insects, we also want to bring in certain insects that are good for us, such as the mason bee. So you guys are going to create mason bee houses and bring them back to your school gardens, like you see here, the little blue house with the yellow stars on it. We teach you how to mimic insect behavior, as you can see in the right-hand corner, and pollinate certain crops. We give you guys tons of pollinator plants so that you can go home with everything you need to plant a butterfly, hummingbird garden in your school. That's basically a very brief rundown of the horticulture sections in the morning. We go into a lot more details on weed management, disease, etc. But in the afternoon, what we're trying to do is take some of those concepts from the morning and apply them using grade level expectations or education standards to typical curriculum that most of our kids are going to see, whether they're elementary or high school, such as science and engineering, art and reading, history, social studies, PE, health and nutrition, math and agriculture, and even languages. So what we look at our geography, for instance, in the garden, and we look at orienting the students with east, west, north, and south using birdhouses. We look at recycling activities and making seed cards with seeds. We look at various computer-based programs like Herman the Worm, and we look at how you can take that vermiculture bin and do actual lessons and quizzes and really understand worm anatomy with it using the computer and your students. We look at linguistics in the garden. So we like to do a lot of painted rocks you can keep out in the garden during all types of weather, and we paint words on them on the front in English, sometimes on the back, as you can see here in Thai. We have a grad student who's helped some of our teachers convert them to French and even Spanish. And we look at using these with our students to build haikus or different poetry or just sentence structure, just making a complete sentence. So some of our rocks may have words. We try to have a number of nouns, verbs, adjectives, transition type words. And we also look at having punctuation. So we put a comma on a rock or an exclamation point or a question mark or a period so that students can properly construct those sentences in the garden. All of the things that you guys are going to do in this great workshop are going to be ready to go back to your classroom with you. So when we build compost bins or vermiculture bins or the mason bee houses, you take that home with you. All the lessons and all the activities are printed for you and given to you on a jump drive. We really want you to be able to use this as soon as you get back into the classroom and be a successful garden teacher. So far, our participants have really enjoyed these past two workshops. Lots of teachers like the fact that we do hold it in early summer, so it's a great time of year. You don't have to miss out on work. Lots of people have said that they feel very prepared for the school garden. Everything was great. Best training they've ever attended. Awesome is a word that gets spoken over and over and over. On our last series, y'all, even during COVID, even wearing masks the whole time, the last day of our workshop, all the teachers were gathered up in the parking lot. We were loading up cars with more supplies, and it's like they didn't want to leave. They kept wanting to talk or rehash things we had done or give more ideas on things we could do. And it was a really great group of teachers. You guys, we try to make it fun. We eat lunch together. It's brown bag style. Some of our teachers bring in little special drinks, like we had smashed blackberries and homemade lemonades this year. We make it personable and really enticing for you. And I think you guys would love joining us for this workshop. Remember, it's May 31st through June 4th this year, 2021, on LSU's campus. We would love to have you join us. If you're interested in joining us, just give me an email, kkfontno, F-O-N-T-E-N-O-T, @agcenter.lsu.edu, and we will get you registered to join us for this great teacher leadership workshop. If you guys have any questions, I'll be on the live session later on in the day, and I'm here to answer those for you. Hope you have a great one.
Hi, my name is Ainsley Abair, and I'm going to be talking to you about growing gardens at Iberville Elementary School. Myself, Michelle Daigle, Cindy Jofrion, and Carrie Callaghan have worked on this project. I'm going to give you a little background knowledge before we get started. I work at a public Montessori school in Plaquemine, Louisiana. And in the Montessori curriculum, we keep our kids for 3 years. So a lot of my kids come to me as 3-year-olds, and I keep them until they're 5 and 5 and 6, going on to first grade. At Iberville Elementary, we have 9 pre-K kindergarten classrooms, and we received the Growing Garden Grant 2 years in a row. The Growing Garden Grant has given us 6 raised beds, lots of seeds, dirt, an irrigation system, and a wealth of knowledge. We have used the Louisiana Home Vegetable Gardening book that we received from the grant to do a lot of our gardening and research and knowing when to plant. The pre-K department saw our gardens and decided to fence in our outside areas in order for our children to be able to work inside, outside all day long. We also received a greenhouse, but unfortunately our greenhouse was destroyed by the maintenance personnel at our school, so we're hoping it will be fixed soon. Once they put the fence up, we realized that we wanted a few more raised beds in our different areas throughout the pre-K kindergarten building. So we added 3 more long, skinny raised beds along our fence line in order to put vegetables that are going to vine. The kids help plant, weed, and maintain the gardens. A lot of our kids stay with us for 3 years, so this is something that the kids come back to year after year. They look forward to working in our garden. We are very fortunate that right outside our back door we have a courtyard with our gardens in it, so the kids can access them all day long, and they take ownership of it. This is their garden, and they want it to look good, and they want their flowers and their vegetables to look nice. Gardening teaches responsibility, ownership, routine, and collaboration. This is one of my kindergarten students. He has been with me for 3 years, and when he first started out, he really had a hard time expressing his words and his thoughts and verbalizing it to us, and the garden has really helped him. Not only does it calm him, it relaxes him, but he goes out there and he has ownership of it. This is his flower, this is his area where he plants. And he also works with others in order to maintain the garden area for all students. So he planted this flower when we first started this year, and he has watered it and he's watched it grow. He's learned the different parts of this sunflower, and he was really excited to see that it was almost as tall as him. So we took out our measuring tape and we measured it, then we measured him, we compared and we contrasted, and we were able to integrate different subjects into our garden, which is our ultimate goal. So he is very excited about this flower. He comes out every day, he waters it, he maintains it, he takes care of it. It's ownership to him, and it makes him very happy. Our garden is a living, breathing educational tool. In this picture, we have a little girl. She's a 4-year-old that's returning, and a little boy, he's a 3-year-old. It's his first year with us. Well, he's never seen a cucumber plant before. He did not know that cucumbers came from plants that were planted in the ground. He said that he's been to the store and he's seen cucumbers and he's eaten cucumbers, but he didn't know where they came from. So I took this plant and I showed him the teeny tiny cucumbers that were growing with the little flowers that are growing at the end. And I explained to him that these cucumbers are going to grow and they're going to get much bigger, and then we can eat them. I then explained to him that in order for these cucumbers to grow, we need to add lots of water and it needs lots of sunlight. So this was a wonderful learning opportunity to integrate the knowledge he had from going to the store and eating cucumbers at home and seeing how they were actually made. Here we have Miss Cindy Joffrion helping one of her students to water his kale. They just planted kale for our fall garden. And we also have another student who's watering independently by herself. Kids in our multi-age classes help each other. The younger students learn from the older students. So in our picture, we have a group of 3 students on your left-hand side, 2 kindergarten and 1 pre-K. And the kindergarten girl is actually showing the little boy how to water the plants, how to carry the bucket, how not to overwater them. They're collaborating together to work on their garden. On your right-hand side, you can see Miss Cindy is showing 2 new 3-year-old pre-K boys how to water our garden. The students can taste their harvest. We use this as a learning opportunity. So this past winter, we planted some lettuce, and the kids really loved that they were able to cut the lettuce with scissors. But then we took it to another level. What we did was we allowed them to taste the lettuce, and then we gave them each a block. And we put a smiley face, a sad face, and then like a I didn't try it face, or an X out kind of thing. And we let them vote. We made a graph out of it. We allowed them to vote if they liked it, they didn't like it, or if they didn't even want to try it. And this brought in math. This allowed them to visually see that, and we were able to count and compare the likes, the dislikes, and the kids that didn't even try it. We always use our garden as a way to integrate different learning opportunities, both in the classroom, in our garden, combined. Our kiddos really love their garden, and they're always excited when veggies are ready to harvest. We planted some carrots and some radishes this past fall, and those by far have been the biggest hit. The kids think it's the coolest thing when they just pull it out of the ground and all of a sudden at the top it looked like a weed, but at the bottom you got a vegetable. They really enjoyed tasting the radishes and having a new flavor. So we got to use some new vocabulary words to describe the flavor of the radishes, to describe what they smelled like. It brought in a whole new taste for a lot of these kids. This is something they really look forward to. You know, they watch as their carrots grow, and they go out the garden every day and they look to see if they're ready. And we tell them, okay, they gotta get at least this tall before you can pull them. And then when they get to pull them and they come in the classroom and they show it to you, it's great. Their faces are just lit up with joy and excitement, and it's an amazing feeling that we can provide this for our students.
Hello, my name is Angelina Harrison. I'm the Director of Markets for Market Umbrella, and we'll be talking to you today about our Farm to School program, Harvesting for Health in Louisiana. A little bit of information about us. Market Umbrella is the New Orleans nonprofit that runs the Crescent City Farmers Markets. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. Pre-COVID, we ran 6 weekly farmers markets in 2 parishes and a host of fresh food incentive programs, including our Market Match program, which doubles SNAP dollars spent at the market, and Market Mamas supporting breastfeeding mothers on WIC. Now during COVID, we've pivoted our operations and programs. We're currently running a home delivery box, 2 contactless drive-through markets, and a modified walk-up market. I'll take you through a few of the changes that we've had to make to farm to school activities due to COVID as we move through the presentation. Market Umbrella has operated our Meet Me at the Market field trip program since 2011, working to connect Orleans Parish students to local agriculture and food producers through our market. We've developed curriculum for pre-K through 5th grade, and the way it works is that our staff visits a participating classroom with lessons on nutrition, food production, food economics, etc., whatever might tie into what the kids are learning about. The following day, students come to visit the market and are guided through activities like tastings and scavenger hunts. All students then take home a small tote filled with produce, recipes, activities, and information to continue the experience at home. Through this work, we became the Louisiana state lead for the National Farm to School Network in 2017. Working to build the farm to school network within our state, we connected with a local school food service management company that was looking to integrate local sourcing. After some successes in connecting them to local growers, we pursued a USDA Farm to School implementation grant, which we were awarded in 2018. Thus, Harvesting for Health was born. For the past couple of years through this program, we've been working to help Orleans Parish primary public schools to implement all three components of Farm to School, so curriculum, school gardens, and procurement. And on the supply side, we've also been working with producers to get ready to meet institutional demand. As a farmers market organization, this really allowed us to marry our existing field trip programming with the goal of supporting our network of local growers through connecting them to and creating new sales opportunities with schools. It's taken a village, and our long list of partners includes the 7 schools that we partner with, along with Sprout NOLA, the LSU Ag Center's Farm to School, Food Safety, and Extension Services, Southern University, 3 farmer partners, Volunteers for America's Fresh Food Factor, Pigeon's Catering, and the Healthy School Food Collaborative, an Orleans Parish School Food Authority. For year 1 of teacher training, we partnered with Sprout NOLA, a local nonprofit that runs garden training for teachers, community gardens, producer technical assistants, and more, to offer a series of classes to a team of teachers from each participating school. The second year, we teamed up with LSU Ag Center's School Garden Boot Camp. This partnership created a very rich curriculum with a focus on both the agricultural side from Anna Timmerman and Joe Willis, the Orleans Parish Extension agents, and Sprout brought to the table the community building and curriculum integration side. We also connected every participating school to Crystal Bessie and the LSU Ag Center's Harvest of the Month resources. Physical materials were brought to team kickoff meetings, including the Harvest of the Month toolkits, multiple physical copies of all the HOM posters, and the lesson compendium. There was a big spectrum of garden condition across our partner schools, and Sprout helped each school build a custom garden plan through the teacher training and then organize build-outs. We had a number of those build-outs scheduled for this past spring, which COVID interfered with. We have received an extension for the grant and hope things can normalize to the point where we can complete them this coming spring. Pictured here is the amazing garden space at Mildred Osborne Charter School in the East, which we did help to complete. With procurement, our goal was to forge a few meaningful and manageable partnerships with food service management companies. And so we worked to onboard schools who had food service management companies in common. We'd originally thought that, like we had previously done in our procurement work, we'd analyze menus, see what was purchased regularly to compare that to local availability, looking for items available in the right volume and consistency at the right price, and working through delivery and other logistics. But we found that with our new partners, it was an audience largely unfamiliar with local seasonality, and so a calendar of availability was more useful. So what we did was compile a list of the vendors interested in wholesaling to schools, verified their on-farm food safety practices, then indicated all of the products that they'd be interested in selling in volume, their price ranges, and expected seasonal availability in this one list with a snapshot here. We also included information like the farm name, location, and growing practices, just to share as much information as possible with potential buyers and start that relationship. Then we'd share with stakeholders whenever there were updates to it. We also found it a useful tool for other institutional sales conversations and used it to facilitate initial conversations between buyers and sellers as a starting point. And finally, the GAP training. Well, it is a common misconception that producers must have good agricultural practices or GAP certification in order to sell to schools. Oftentimes, conventional distributors require the certification to satisfy insurance requirements. We figured that while we were working to connect producers directly to schools, we'd also work to increase GAP certification so that a grower could take a conventional route to the schools, and also just increase the number of GAP certified growers in the state. With Professor Adhikari and his team at the LSU Ag Center, we coordinated a PSA training and GAP workshop in New Orleans for our grower partners that was also open to the public. There, we connected our grower partners with a food safety specialist from Southern University to give individualized assistance to help them finalize and implement the farm food safety plans and prepare for a gap audit. COVID has thrown a bit of a wrench in this timeline as well, which was supposed to culminate this past spring. But with the extension that we're getting the ball rolling on that again and hoping to get these growers added to the GAP certified roster by next spring. I did want to share one procurement highlight. To celebrate Farm to School Month in October of last year, we brought the idea of doing the Great Louisiana Satsuma Peel to some of our schools and food service management companies. That was something that the Pennington Biomedical Research Center had started at the Farm to School Conference, I believe in 2018. We all peeled and ate a local Satsuma together and celebrated with a sticker, which of course we all know children love. To introduce a Farm to School month activity during October, we thought it would be a great project for schools to take on, and right off the bat, there was just tons of excitement. The partner schools were 100% on board. Food service management companies found it relatively easy to implement this single event, sometimes as a snack for an item that basically, needed no prep, was relatively shelf stable, and happens to come in the exact portion size a fruit needs to meet nutritional requirements for school lunch. In fact, the food service management companies started onboarding other schools that they were servicing beyond our partner schools, and then we reached out to edible schoolyard schools thinking they might be interested, and they were. Each school set their own celebration date where every student would peel and eat a Satsuma together. We provided some language for them to use to celebrate the peel and stickers for each student to receive, and then delivered them to the various participating schools. You can see the logo that we used pictured here, borrowed from Pennington. We printed them as a die-cut sticker, so each sticker was the shape of Louisiana, which was super cute. And ultimately, we had 16 schools participate with almost 9,000 children in Orleans Parish eating a Satsuma with their classmates last year. In conclusion, we have learned so much. It really takes a village, of both programmatic partners, leads within the school and the school's community to really get things off the ground and keep them moving. Also, when you're opening the door to procurement, the USDA's micro purchasing allowance is a really great tool. It allows food service companies to purchase smaller amounts without bidding them out, so they can, kind of test the waters of local procurement. Also, many myths surround farm to school work, and they accumulate to the point where people think that it's harder than it is. Be prepared to say over and over that GAP certification is not required, that small farmers can produce the volume needed and be price competitive, that kids can learn to eat vegetables. Sometimes you find surprisingly easy solutions. During the Satsuma Peel planning, for example, we found that BOA, a food service management company, was sourcing from a local distributor who actually offered local Satsumas. However, for some reason, they were not on their approved list. So BOA made the request to approve that item. Now Capital City can freely sell Star Nursery Satsumas to BOA whenever they want them. All the pieces were there, they just had to be connected. And finally, when you're bringing a new idea like farm to school to the table, a lot of it is about changing minds. You'll need to find ways to expose the various participants over and over and over again until it seems normal and possible. It's a systems changing thing and not done overnight. Relationships and relationship forming is absolutely critical. Again, Angeline Harrison with Market Umbrella, thank you so much for your time today, and please do not hesitate to reach out.
Okay, and we are back. All right, so let me invite all of our panelists back in to answer and ask questions. Just one moment. So we're going to be joined by Kiki Fontenot, Ainsley Abear, Dr. Hodson again. Betsy Johnson, unfortunately, is not with us today. And here's Angeline. There we go. All right, so that should be all of us. We had a lot of questions come in for this session. So let's see. Alessandro, do you want to start with a question first?
Yeah, sure. Ms. Ainsley, we had a couple of questions for you. One of the questions was, how were you able to convince the school administration to let you continue with the program after all the problems you have had, especially with the greenhouse getting destroyed?
Well, we're very fortunate that our principal believes in our program, and she sees the benefit in us being able to teach them not only in the classroom, but also in the outside environment. It's an extension of our classroom. So we're basically able to show her, like, look, our children are learning to read and write and do math through our garden. So it helps us to continue to push forward. And whenever she sees the cute pictures of the kids with the produce, she has a hard time telling us no. So.
Perfect. Another question that was asked was the products you harvest in the garden. What do you do with those? Are you selling them at a local market, or are you using them in the school cafeteria, or what else could you do with those?
So right now we don't have that much produce, but the produce that we do have, the children have snack during the day and they prepare it themselves. So our kids will peel the vegetables and cut them up, wash them, and have the snack. So they'll either eat the snack in the classroom or we'll present it to the other classes so like we can share. We can't really share as much with COVID, but usually if we have extras, we share out to the classes. I wish we had enough to share throughout the school, but our school is really big. So we're able to share within our grade level if we have extras. And then the kids also take them home. They love taking their stuff home.
Oh, okay. Nice.
We have a lot of other questions as well. I know there was one right off the bat for Kiki earlier about when the next school garden session is, and also if you are allowed to attend the school garden leadership training if you have already done the growing gardens training.
Okay, so the answer is yes, you can. You can attend both. The trainings are separate and they've got a lot of very different material in them. So it would not be weird at all to attend the teacher leadership conference if you've already done the Growing Gardens program. And the next teacher leadership workshop is going to be May 31st through June 4th, 2021. So this summer, it's like basically it's the first week of June, right? It's just Monday happens to fall on the last day of May. So it's those 5 days, and it's going to be at the Hill Farm Teaching Facility on LSU's campus. And if you guys are interested, we haven't opened up our Qualtrics survey to apply for it quite yet, just because it is so far in the future. But if you want to get your name on a list and make sure I send you that link to fill out that survey, you can email me anytime before starting today. You know, just send me an email, but make sure in the title of the email or in like the subject line, you just say Teacher Leadership Conference, so it really stands out to me.
Great. And I also just wanted to point out that we just shared our poll results for the question we asked earlier. Are you currently gardening with kids? And it looks like 39% of our attendees are currently gardening with kids. 29 are not, 29% that is, and 32% are not, but they're interested in learning more. As far as who has ever attended a garden training, 58% of our attendees have. 27% have not, but want to learn more, and 15% just said no. So that's some background there for you, Kiki, of our attendees. Okay, Angelina, we had a question, and I believe it got answered in the chat or in the Q&A, but it was about Top Box Foods and if they are involved with Market Umbrella and Farm to School with you.
We are continually deepening our relationship with Top Box. I'm just going over the list in my mind of things that we're doing with them now. But Farm to School is not one of them. I don't know. I don't think that Farm to School is really a component of their work. But it could be an interesting conversation. We work with them on a community food project and also on a GUSNIP nutrition incentive project.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, well, see, I had a question. Let's say a school wanted to do Harvest of the Month and they wanted to source cucumbers. Could Top Box conceivably facilitate that?
Conceivably, yeah.
Great. All right, Dr. Hodson, do you have any questions for our speakers?
Yes, I have a question, and anyone can jump in on that. It sounds like there's a lot of learning that takes place with the school gardens. I was wondering if any of our panelists know how many students or any idea if students then go home and help their families establish a garden at home?
Yeah, I guess I'll jump in. I don't know the exact number. That would be a really good research question, and really interesting to find that out. And Ansley or Angelina, may want to jump in on this one too. But I know, like, just with my personal experience working with schools around the state, I do get a lot of feedback from especially the younger kids going home and trying to start a school garden there. So like, it may not be, I mean, not a school, but a home garden. It may be what we do is like a big raised bed or an in-ground garden, but just bringing home some of the extra plants. A lot of times if the schools, like we'll plant 50 cucumbers, and like Ansley said, you have 6 raised beds. You don't need 50 cucumbers, The kids take it home, they can plant it just in a pot on their back porch or on their balcony. And so we get a lot of that feedback back to us, just saying like, the teacher's like, oh, Johnny, Mary, and Sue all have, extra plants growing at their house now. And their mama said that they had a garden, so they started one over there too. And it's not just maybe where they live, but they talk about it to their relatives. And, they might have a cucumber at mama's house and their house. So I don't know how to quantify that number, but it's definitely something I'd say I hear from at least 40 to 50% of the teachers that we interact with on a regular basis, that we get that kind of talk coming back to us.
It definitely influences the establishment of home gardens then.
Yeah.
We have a question to all panelists from one of our attendees. John Green is asking if it is possible to have some Satsuma delivered to a school since they're going virtual. They are at Impact Charter in Baker, Louisiana. So I don't know if that becomes a crystal question, but they're looking for how can we get Satsumas to our school.
So they want to know if they can get Satsumas delivered to a home or to the school.
I'm not sure. Since the students are going virtual, I don't know if the school would then deliver it to them with maybe some type of lunch program like what 3 o'clock project does, or I'm not sure.
Well, I know that the students that are going virtual in a district will, they have the option to go pick up lunches at their school. And so that falls back at the school district level. They can purchase the Satsumas and then put them in those bagged lunches or box lunches that the kids come pick up. So yes, you can still, as long as your school district is participating, or you can have the principal request that your school get the Satsumas for the Great Louisiana Satsuma Peel, or talk to your cafeteria manager, or you can also talk to your district level. And if anyone needs help with that, you guys are welcome to email me. I would be happy to help facilitate that and try to get some Satsumas in your schools for the Satsuma Peel or anytime. And my email is cbesse@agcenter.lsu.edu.
Thanks, Crystal. We have 2 more quick ones. I think this one is for Ainsley, but maybe also for Kiki too. They're asking, is drip irrigation used in school gardens?
Yes, ma'am. I was fortunate enough to receive a drip irrigation system from the grant from LSU. And so we've used it, and it's really helped a lot. I actually was able to keep my summer garden going because we had this system. So I just came check on it during COVID when I could, and things kept growing. So it was kind of cool. The kids could kind of see that when they came back, we still had stuff.
Thanks. And Kiki, I'm sure that's something that you probably recommend to the schools that you work with, is the drip irrigation instead of like hand watering.
Yes, we like to, with all the Growing Gardens grant students, we make sure that they have a timer and soaker hoses. It's not traditional drip irrigation where, you think of the emitters and the plastic tubing. And that's just because typically you need really long grows, or you need a large area so that you're not, breaking those pipes. But soaker hoses we use, and that's just a great BMP for school gardens, is to always water at the base of the plants. So if you're not using drip, try to use a watering can or something where you can get down at the base of the plant, right? Because you don't want to wet the foliage if at all possible to reduce disease. You want to water at the roots. So.
Right. Well, we are officially out of time. We are at noon. It is time for the end of the conference. So there was one question. Is there a cost, Kiki, for a school garden workshop?
For the teacher leadership workshop, there is $80 fee to it, and a lot of our teachers have their schools write the check back for that leadership workshop.
Right. Okay. And they can find more information about the leadership workshop. I believe we have a link in our program for that. So if they're looking for more info, just go through the conference program, go to the success story page, and you can find information there. But that wraps up our day 3 out of 4 for the 2020 Virtually Everywhere Louisiana Farm to School Conference. So join us again tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll have 2 more exciting sessions on Louisiana Heritage in the cafeteria, as well as farm to school in the food system, and followed up with another virtual taste test on broccoli. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to email us, share the conference link with your friends. Thank you so much to our speakers for joining us, for putting those videos together and joining for live Q&A. And again, to our steering committee for helping us put all this together. But that about closes us out for the day. I think that's all, right? See you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Bye, everybody.